All right. Hey, everybody. Good to see you again. We're back. That means it's Wednesday. It's 5:30 p.m. here in beautiful Santa Cruz, California. And probably a different time where you are. I know it's kind of late for some of you guys, so thanks for showing up. It's always good to see you. We are just going to talk about shower doors, shower door business, see what's new and exciting, what kind of challenges people are facing. Yeah, just kind of check in, see how everybody's doing. I had somebody offer a suggestion for a topic tonight, and actually it was who was it? Bill passed it along, but the idea was just like, how do you deal with that customer who calls and wants you to come and take out an existing shower enclosure because they want to like change the tile, or they have to fix something or regrout or whatever, and then come back and put that glass back in. Do you get calls like that?
Oh
How do
yeah.
you handle that? Tell me, Tim. What do you say to those guys?
No. I mean, you can
Just a
build it.
simple one syllable answer, right?
No. And I had a contractor that did that. They took out the glass, and because we put it back exactly the same. And I go over there and no. It's a waste of time.
Never do they put it back exactly the same.
No. And you don't know if those things were cut out of whack to begin with or whatever.
You want my 2 cents?
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah, we do it all the time, but we don't like to reinstall glass that's there. I do feel for some people because they may have gotten a new shower door frameless enclosure. We may have done it maybe a year or two ago, and whoever did the tile work may have done a poor job. There's a leak, and then that situation. But I'd say a pretty good percentage of our business does involve removal of frame showers. We patch the holes, we haul it off, dispose of all the stuff, and put in a frameless. And we're doing that pretty successfully. There are some frustrations. It's not always a perfect situation, and we do run into a few issues here and there, but we are getting quite a bit of business out of it, and we charge for that service. We're also really, I think over the last year and a half, we've done better with trip charges. So, just reinforcing those trip charges every time and letting people know that we're going to charge them trip charges, and it's a non-refundable thing. So, but it's not always perfect. I mean, honestly, it's not perfect.
So you're talking about actually replacing an existing enclosure with a new frameless enclosure, right?
In general, yes. Now, if it's something like what you're talking about, if it was a framed one or frameless that was removed and they retile it, a lot of times we have a non-refundable trip charge to go out there and measure and check to see how the glass is going to work. And a lot of times we can resell all of it.
So what is your trip charge? How do you figure that?
It could be more than it is, but it's an $85 non-refundable flat, unless it's a long distance. And that's just to measure or to, troubleshoot the situation. It's more of a consultation, but it allows us to sell.
So that's just to show up in the job and before any work is done or anything like that.
Yes, and usually it's done by not the installers unless they're in the area already. It'll be we have a dedicated measuring person plus myself and a couple others that can also do that.
Nice. So let's see. So Tim he just says no. How about you, Billy? Do you have what's your policy about that? Like going in.
So do we prefer to go and take out a shower and then reinstall it? No, it's not something we want to do. But I also am understanding. I'll tell you guys right now, I'm in a brand new house. We built a house in 2020. My master shower pan leaked. Somebody made a mistake on the Curdy system. I found out I got in some tile. So I'm in that situation right now. I have a soft close in my master shower that's been sitting there for 5 months because I haven't gotten around to pulling it out so that we can fix the pan. So I'm understanding the homeowners that are dealing with that problem. Somebody needs to take it out. Most people don't feel comfortable handling glass unless you handle glass regularly. So we're very upfront and we separate each of the portions of it into separate charges. So we don't give like a set number. It's going to be a time and material base job. And also how busy we are plays into it. And that's a definite thing I have to consider right now is how busy we are and how many people we have. But we do it and we run a charge for the initial removal. We're going to leave the product there on site. And it's up to the homeowner to maintain it during that process. We don't want to bring it back in our shop and get it back in the mix with all of our stuff. And then we're going to have a separate charge again for the reinstall that it starts at a non-refundable number. If we go out there and it happens not to fit, you're going to pay that no matter what. And then we're going to start the process over if there is need for that. Because at no point is it our responsibility to make sure anything fits like it is normally. So first charge, and then we go back out, second charge. If there's a problem, the customer understands that they're going to pay that minimum no matter what. And hopefully it goes back in and everybody's happy, but I would agree with Tim. It's pretty rare that everything gets put back the way it was because those tile guys and that contract don't quite understand if something's cut, 3/16 out and an eighth out, it's got to be 3/16 out and the eighth out, or it's not going back in proper. So it's a not a fun thing, but I don't want to tell people no if I can fit it in around some other stuff and make a little money on it, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've got a well thought through process. I mean, it's not that uncommon of a request.
Trial and error.
Yeah, the thing that irks me the most is somebody buys something online or, it's a Dreamline or something. And then they call and say, how much would you install it for? I'm sorry, I don't install doors purchased anywhere else. I just don't, I just explain missing parts or it's not measured right. It's not going to fit right. And then if there's any damage, who's responsible for the damage? And it's just too many can of worms.
That's right.
Yeah, I thought that was a good conversation that came up on the Facebook page. Some guys were talking about what they charge to go out and put in, the big box or box showers. We don't do it just because my volume. I don't know that I can fit it in. And if it's something my guys aren't familiar with, then it kind of throws a wrench in their process. My install crews are pretty, young, I would say. Everybody is, I think my oldest is like 41 maybe. And then everybody's younger than him on my shower crews. So even frame showers give my guys trouble because they've done so few of them. So when you throw in like a Kohler or one of these Dreamlines or OVOs or whatever, it's so unfamiliar to them. It's just going to take extra time. So we have a hard no policy on that right now. But I'm always open to change that. If things slow down or we're looking for work, then I'm going to do whatever I have to do to make sure the guys are busy. But right now they're busy just doing frameless stuff that we're selling. So
Mm-hmm.
That's a good
Does
thing.
anybody sell a frameless over the counter? If somebody comes in and wants to buy the glass and hardware, do you sell that to them?
Typically, I don't. Well, I have, but they can't return it. If there's a scratch, they need to look over it before it leaves the shop. I don't want to have that conversation later.
Yeah.
what usually happens with us is they'll ask us, and I have done it and will do it because I'm going to make good money on it. So it's no different than we have retail. So we sell retail all the time. So I look at it like a retail sale. But when I start asking them all the questions of, hardware cutouts and locations and out of squares and all that stuff. A lot of them go, maybe I don't want to do this myself. But yeah, I'll do it because for me, it's just they can bring in their drawing of what they want, and one of the girls in the office can order it just like they order a pizza tempered or an IG, and they'll come pick it up just like we're selling retail stuff.
Do you have problems with anybody like trying to come back to you and say something's not right?
No. I mean, I wouldn't say this is a very frequent thing. I would say, it's probably less than 1% of what we're selling. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't had any problems because I'm very clear that you provide your sizes. You tell me what hardware you want. You've got to have some kind of knowledge of what you want, or I'm not doing any of that for you if I'm not putting the shower in.
Right. And I agree with that.
Yeah,
You make them sign off on the sizes,
yeah.
They have to provide me the sizes themselves. So
and then make them sign off on what
I'm not doing any deductions. They're telling me an exact glass size.
Yeah.
That's going to be attached to their work order. So now if the glass came in and it didn't match that size, then yeah, I would consider that a problem. But I'm sending it to my manufacturer as glass size direct. So
yeah. And then you tell them, it's not like cutting a piece of plywood. You might get plus or minus what you want.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think just about every supplier has a 1/8 tolerance, so they have to figure that in too.
But then the customer doesn't know that.
Yeah, they need to be educated in that.
Yeah.
That's something that I do from time to time, but just with certain customers, like I've got a couple of guys who are just kind of, like general, like one-man general contractors, kind of like a high profile handyman kind of thing, and they'll do those frameless enclosures sometimes. And a guy like that, I don't have a problem, supplying him with hardware and glass. And I use Showers Online, so it's pretty easy to model it up in Showers Online, and then just save that PDF of all of the cut sheets. And then I can provide the guy with that and go, okay, this is what you're going to get. Or, plus or minus 1/8 of an inch, right? So then when they approve that, then it's really easy to say, hey, man, you got what you asked for, And again, these are always people who I have a relationship with. So I know that, it's a known quantity. It's not just somebody coming in off the street. Someone could just comes in, it's like, hey, they want to order something from me. I shy away from that.
I tend to find that the guys that are bold enough to want to buy a frameless shower and put it in themselves tend to not want to come back and say, hey, I ordered this wrong. It's the wrong size. It won't fit. They're going to trim tile, they're going to remove tile. They're going to do something like that because they don't want to admit that. Because I'm very upfront, hey, I'm not going to help you do this unless you want me to do it. So I'm a pretty dry guy when I do sales. So it's even drier when you're calling me wanting something because you think you can do what we do every day as well as we can do it. So if you feel that way, cool. I'm not going to help you. Just tell me what you want. I'll order it for you. You can take it and go. So I don't think they want to come back and tell me, hey, this didn't fit. I measured it wrong or whatever. So.
No, I had a guy come in, he wanted a panel. And I said, you bring in a piece of paper with what you want, your sizes, you sign off on it, I'll order it. This was something he bought, from Home Depot or something. The panel he got didn't work, so.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, right. And you make a good point too, Billy, about when a guy like that who's doing that kind of work is going to just kind of make it work. He's not going to come back and say, hey, I need to reorder it unless he absolutely has to. And when I'm doing an installation, it's I'm looking for it to be absolutely perfect, right? And if I have to make it work, making it work for me is it's not absolutely perfect. It's it's 3/16 gap at the bottom and an 1/8 at the top, or something like that. That's, what I can live with. Whereas, the average guy out there can live with, quite a bit more
You're like
than what I can,
Mm-hmm. You mentioned, you know, the 1/8 tolerance from the fabricator. I tell you, I'd have to say my fabricator gets it almost every time with less than a 16th off.
Well, 3/8 is a 16th, so you know they're
Yeah.
pretty close.
Yeah, I have the same experience. I mean, I get it pretty close to perfect. And if it is off, it's usually like a 16th shy, which
Yeah.
is like a lot easier to work with than, you know, a 16th proud, you know.
You have to know your fabricator and how close they are, if they're plus or minus, and you know, then
Yeah.
I'll take off another 16th or something to make it come out right.
I'll
Right.
say that I wish I had a better handle on tolerances, because I don't put my hands on many showers, to be honest, with the way, you know, the volume that we're doing and what I'm doing during my day. I'm not seeing I don't see a shower very often at any point. I might see it in a rack in the shop at some point, but I don't know how well our tolerances are. I know if they're too bad, my guys are going to come back and complain to me when they go try to put it in.
Yeah.
But I wish I had time to get on an install more often so I could have a better feel for. I try to get that communication back out of my crews, but that's hard sometimes because they just kind of get used to what they're getting and figure out how to make that work every time. So that's something on my end. I wish I did a better job of, was getting a better handle on what they're running into on the installs, because I'm not there. You know, I'm not getting to see that product. I rarely get to see them when they're done until I get a picture of them, you know, sent to me. So it would be nice to be able to be a little more hands-on sometimes, like some of you guys get to be.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, especially today, I had a great time. So Ellie, then, I haven't seen you in a while, man. How about you? Do you guys? What's your position on, you know, doing a demo reinstallation for somebody who contacts you asking for something like that?
Most of the time, we don't do it. We just tell them, you know, that we are really busy and unfortunately we are not able to help them. Yeah, it's you know, we're most of the time we're like super busy, so we just really don't do it. And yeah, so we've done it in the past, and we have, you know, a huge disclaimer that says, you know, when you replace frameless with a frame, tiles can come out. You're gonna find discoloration, cracked tiles, holes. You are responsible for all of that. So we have done it, and we will do it for, you know, some repeat customer that, you know, that purchase volume throughout the year. If they need that service, no problem. But if it is a homeowner, usually we wouldn't do it.
Yeah, those existing customers, that's kind of a different story. I mean,
Correct.
you know, they're a different animal. I mean, you do things for them that you wouldn't do for somebody else. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what about installing customer supplied shower enclosures? Do you guys do that at all?
We, believe it or not, we get a lot of calls from builders where other glass companies have done work and they want us to repair it. Or sometimes, you know, a designer wanted to buy, you know, like a grid shower, and, you know, everybody was like over the top with their quote. So they went and got one from Home Depot and they want us to do it. We would only do it under some circumstances, but we don't really do that either. So we tell them, you know, we're gonna do it custom, but if you want us to do it, you're 100% responsible. We are not gonna, and you're gonna pay for it. So you're gonna pay for our service. If we break the glass, you have 0 warranty. Everything in writing, they sign off on it. We will do it. Otherwise, you know, we don't do it.
Proud of you.
Yeah, and you know, I think many times, you know, because we want to be customer service driven, we are maybe too afraid to say no to customers or to tell them the truth. You know, like, this is something that if you're buying something from Home Depot, from Lowe's, or from online, you know, like, we get so many calls of customers saying, hey, I bought this online, can you install it? And sometimes it's many times because we're manufacturers, our product is going to be less expensive custom made than whatever they're going to have to pay from an online or retail store plus the installation cost. So we tell them, if you can return it, and then we will manufacture a custom one that is gonna be most of the time is same price or even a little lower.
Yeah.
No, I had a contractor that we do a lot of work for, and the homeowner bought something online. It's laying there on the floor, wanted me to put it in. I looked at it, and the wall's, 3/8 of an inch out of plumb. And I told him to box it up and send it back.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like that, it's because it's funny over time, these things kind of change, right? Like when you're new and you're kind of hungry and you really don't know exactly, you'll kind of say yes to everything. And it's not a bad thing because you get a lot of great experience doing that, both with, materials and with customers, and just that whole experience of, having problems, and hashing those out, because that's basically what these things produce. It's just like problems, and we think of problems in a negative light because, we're human and we don't like problems, but really problems are a good thing. Problems are what make you grow. They're what make you learn. And so early on, that's great. But when you're kind of in your groove and you're hitting your stride, and it's like, okay, now we're busy and we're cranking out, the kind of work we want to do all the time, going back to doing those things really throws a wrench in the gears, and it's like, I mean, you can end up, it's always those cheap little jobs that end up really taking all of your bandwidth, my experience.
Right.
So Brian, how about you? What's your take on this?
Who?
Brian.
Brian.
What's up, Brian? How you doing, man?
How's it going, guys? So I guess there's really there's no short answer to the question. And kind of like what you just said, when I first started out on my own, I did that a few times. There were a couple times where the homeowner or the contractor had removed the old glass and wanted me to come, and put it back in. I took those jobs early on because I didn't have a lot going on and I was looking to build relationships, not only with homeowners in the area, but contractors and stuff like that. Now, I mean, there's a couple contractors that I do work for that have asked me to do it. They were going to redo all the tile in a bathroom due to water damage or whatever. How much is it going to be to remove this thing and reinstall it? And it's like, the truth is there's a lot, I feel there's a lot more involved in the removal of that glass, and you got to clean all the silicone off. You got to make sure it's going to look okay when you go to put it back in. And by the time all that's done, it's like, for another $400 or $500, you can get all brand new glass, brand new hardware, custom glass made to fit your opening. You don't have to worry about building the walls out of plumb to accept this old glass I'm taking out. So at that point, it really becomes, how good are you at selling your product and yourself and your service, which I think I've gotten a little bit better at. I would like to think I have. But I never just it's never just a short answer to the person that's on the other line. It's never just a no. I'll always try to talk to them a little bit. And if they're close enough, I'll try to get out there and take a look at it. And then I can explain to them why it's not a good idea for me to do this. This is a better way to do it. And why don't you sit on that for a little while, check your budget, whatever. And then, we'll kind of get back to it in a couple days. And I mean, I've made sales that way, and I think it's a lot easier. It's a lot less stress certainly on me. And I think on them as well sometimes.
No,
Wow, that's a great answer.
I don't just say no, I do explain to them.
Right.
I got to clean the glass. I get out there, it doesn't fit. So now you wasted all this time. So just order new glass.
Yeah, I think that was a killer answer, Brian. Honestly, I feel like we're all pretty much in the same boat. For the right person and the right customer or the right relationship, we're going to do really anything. And like, you know, my main contractors that I do, you know, I'm doing large amounts with every year. I'm not really going to tell them no for anything. If I can figure out a way to make it work, I'm going to do whatever they need me to do. Because here's the bottom line that we're all dealing with is if I'm making money on it, I'm going to do it. If it doesn't throw off whatever else I'm doing, because that, I mean, let's be honest, we all love glass work, but we're all here to make money. I mean, that's the bottom line of the whole thing. So if the money's right, I'm going to do it. You know, either, no matter what that means, you know, if I can, if somebody wants me to tear out their door and put it back in and they're willing to pay me, you know, I've explained to them, you know, a new door is $100 more, but you want me to do this and I can fit it in the schedule. Why wouldn't I do it? That's the key thing we always talk about is there's no right or wrong answer here. If your business can do it and make money at it and it's not losing you money somewhere else, that's business. So it's not like there's a right or wrong. I think we all don't like to do it because it's something, you know, that we all know is a pain. But if it makes money and, you know, what if that were your whole business is going out and pulling out showers for people when they have water damage or something going on, then you're running a business just doing that. You know, that's a business in itself if you're doing it. So I would say, yeah, I don't like doing it. I rarely do it. I'm going to do it for the right people typically. But if a guy's out there going, well, I shouldn't do this because other people say you shouldn't do it. Now piss on that. If you can make money and it fits in your time frame, do it, dude. Work is work.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like what Brian said. The very last thing was it's less stress on not just on yourself, but less stress on the customer. And you can almost just tell the customer that, you know, just because of all the issues that can arise. And you know, Tim was right about, you know, you clean it all off, you spend all this time and then it doesn't quite fit right or something. And what a pain.
Right.
That's the stress.
And I feel like it takes that much more time too to take out the old one and clean it up, you know, and then put it in, you know, apples to apples. I mean, I feel like your time invested in it is, I mean, you could be double than if you were to just order new glass and put in a new unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. My opinion thinks you're right. I just always want to look at the other side of it. If they're, you know, if a guy's out there lounging for work or he's new, do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do to make money. You know, if it fits for your business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of us in here, it probably doesn't fit for our business. I don't think there's anybody here who's not established and is scrounging for work. But if you are, you know, I don't want to knock anybody that's out there trying to get work done. So.
You know, this is like, I have customers call me, they say, oh, I have a mirror I want to cut down. So I says, can you get it to the shop? No. So, okay, so I have to go out there, pick up the mirror, charge you for that, bring it back here, cut it down, charge you for that, and then take it back to your house. So why don't you just order a new mirror?
Oh, you can't just cut it down in my driveway, Tim? You can't just put it on the concrete and...
Yeah, then it's glued on. Yeah, right. You know.
Okay, well, that's a good question. Does anybody cut mirror on site?
Occasionally. We just did a job the other day. Again, it's one of those, if it were a regular homeowner, no chance I would have told him we to do it. But it's the owner of an architect builder group that we deal with. It's his personal house. He wanted an alcove mirrored out with holes in it. Everything's out of plumb, ceiling's out of plumb, countertops out of plumb, the sheetrock's wiggling up the corners. No chance of doing it for a homeowner, but for this guy, no chance I'm telling him no. So I sent my guys with doubles of each sheet, and we went ahead and drilled the hole, like pre-drilled the holes, and then we trimmed it all off with the angles to make sure that the alcove fit and the reveals were proper. So Not typically, but yes, we set up a cutting table with carpet and everything, and they took it with them, put it on sawhorses, and did the fab on site because of who the customer was. And that's the honest truth. I'm going to make money on it. I'm not doing it for the typical, labor charges I'm going to do a mirror job for, but I'll do anything that makes sense. If that makes sense to you guys. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
So,
Well, it's kind of funny. The company I used to work for years ago, we had a number of installers. They'd go out there and cut mirror on site all the time and just custom cut it, which was amazing to me.
it is. It is. I actually sent my
Old
shop guy.
school, right?
I sent the guy who's in my shop cutting every day. Because we have retail sales, so he's my guy who's my guy where he can cut whatever he want, whatever he thinks of. If I tried to do it on site, it'd be a waste of time and mirror and everything else because I haven't cut there in years. But this guy's really good, so he doesn't like leaving the shop. But I was like, man, I can send everybody else here and we can screw it up, or I can send you and we get it done. So I send my guy that's good with a hand tool, and he goes out there and knocks it out. So yeah, it's an art. That's when I talk about it being an art and having a feel for things. Shit, cutting glass by hand and getting it right. You gotta know what you're doing.
This was like, we used to put a 60, 130 on the truck, take it out to the job site, and cut it in place on the side of the truck.
Yeah, I've seen that done. I mean, I've seen guys cut it right off the rack. I mean,
And
yeah,
right
some
on the
guys
truck.
are really talented. If you've got a guy like that, I mean, you're blessed, to have someone who can do that kind of work.
It's cool because this guy is he's 30, 36, 37, but he's doing our retail stuff for 10 years now. So he's good at he's a craftsman. It's definitely a craft for sure.
Absolutely. And, really it all comes back to, relationship. It's really all about relationships, right? If I get a cold call, from a customer I've never worked with before, and he wants, frameless shower enclosure. It doesn't matter who he is. I mean, it doesn't matter who that customer is. It's like, I know I can go out and do that and kill it, and it's going to be profitable and he's going to be happy. I mean, no matter how difficult a customer it is, I mean, we know how to deal with people like that. But if it's something like, cutting a mirror that they already have, or, installing a customer supplied shower enclosure, or uninstalling a frameless enclosure and then coming back and reinstalling it, those are things that really I can only do for somebody who I know, because I have to be able to have that conversation with them about, okay, you realize when we're done with this, you're going to have basically a used shower enclosure at the cost of a new one, and sometimes as a contractor, and there's a situation there, and that just makes sense to them because, they're under the gun, whatever it is, everybody has their circumstances. But if I know, if I know the customer and I know that no matter how it turns out, they're not going to throw me under the bus, we're going to end up still being friends at the end of it all. I'm willing to go do those things. And he knows the kind of rates that I charge too, whereas, if it's somebody who I don't know, you don't know what kind of a can of worms you're opening up, so there's really a lot to be said about that. Repeat customers, having relationships with, whether it's a homeowner, a builder, an architect, a designer, whatever, and I don't do business with a whole lot of those. I don't do business with a whole lot of contractors or whatever, because there aren't that many who are nice enough to me that I'll keep doing their work. But there are a few. There are a few that are they really treat me well, and I know that I can count on them. They know they can count on me. It's just a beautiful.
I still have a question for the group, since we're talking about kind of like profits and what services we offer or do not offer. What would you guys say is your most profitable product or service that you offer?
Good question. I mean, right off the top of my head, I would say a Cambridge series enclosure. I mean, it's like I can charge a pretty good premium for that and do it so fast. And there's so much give, there's so much, I don't know how to say it, like adjustment. I mean, it's like it's a bypass enclosure, so it does, you don't even really have to get the width. You get it within a half inch, you're fine, right? And then the height is usually, kind of standard. I usually make them like about 80 or whatever. And man, those go in so fast. Those are profitable.
I would say anything sliding. I agree with Chris. I love sliding doors. I would sell sliding doors in every single shower opening I could possibly sell if possible, because you make good money on them. The error space is much larger, obviously. So very rarely are you going to have something that doesn't go in. My crews that aren't as expensive to the company can put them in very easily and very fast. So that's always good too. I sent 2 of my helpers out last week, 2 of my young guys. I think they're 20 and 21. And they put in 4 sliders in a day and knocked it out. Like, super proud of them. And we made good money on that because, we're typically hoping 2 showers a day, 3 if we're doing good. But sliders, they go quick. So
What type of sliders are you talking about?
Any slider. I use HMI product a lot. So standard bypass,
Yeah.
double barn door, single barn door, all those. I like all of them. Now the frameless barn doors can be a little more touchy, but still, you've got so much room for maneuvering a panel when it's not in line with another one that I love sliding doors. I have them in my own house because I like the space of them. The new look of them is really nice compared to what they used to be. So.
Well, the only problem I have with the bar sliders is it seems like, if you use that seal on the bottom, the sweep, it's hard to remove it to clean it. So a lot of them, we talk to the customer and give them the option, but we let them know that if there's no sweep on the bottom, there's nothing to really break that action of the water lipping out from underneath. So it's kind of like they either leak a lot or you got this seal on the bottom that's pretty large and you can't really get it off very easily.
No, it's a bad,
Yeah, that's a great call. I agree with that 100%. We have problems with them leaking. We try to make sure we got a good slope underneath them, but the water pouring off of that onto the curb can give you just that deflection back under the door. So we have had issue with that. The one that I put in from HMI does have a sweep built onto it, but you're right. You have to pretty much remove the door to deal with the sweep. I'll ask this, and I don't want to kill Ellie Bond's question. I definitely want everybody to. But while we're talking about it, does everybody here put a sweep on every door you do, swinging or sliding, or do you leave that up to your discretion?
everyone I do.
Everyone we do except for the sliders.
I don't always do it. If the curb is sloping a half inch and 6 inches, I don't put a sweep on it. There's no reason to.
Do you leave room in case you want to put one?
What's that?
Do you leave room in case you have to come back and put one?
Yeah, I mean, usually in a situation like that, a sweep would barely clear the outside of the curb anyway. I'd have to trim both of the legs off, little sweepy legs.
Oh yeah, if you do it center line of the curb.
Yeah, but and a lot of times the customer, I really leave a lot of stuff up to the customer's discretion. A lot of times when I install a shower enclosure, before I caulk, I'll bring them in. I say, look, do you really want me to caulk this? Because the truth is, I'm good at it. And I'm going to do a great job. And you won't even notice it today. But in a year from now, it's going to look like crap. And the truth is, this isn't going to be watertight anyway. And chances are, you may not even get any water out, if we don't caulk it. A lot of times people elect not to, and I'll always tell them I'll come back and caulk it later if you find, you think it really needs it, but try it because it looks so nice without it, So I do the same thing with the sweeps. Just like, hey, I hate putting plastic on these things. Do you want to try it without, or even just leave them the sweep, or just tell them, yeah, you can pull that off, if you don't want it, just throw it away. Chances are you don't need it.
I mean, you can always cut the fins off the bottom just so the water sheds to the inside.
So I'll answer
Precisely.
the question. I leave it up to the discretion of my installers. At this point, most of my guys have installed several thousand enclosures. So I leave it up to them a lot of times. I wish I could have the interaction that you're talking about, Chris. I don't get to have that interaction in the space with the homeowner. I really wish I could, because I agree with you. I don't like vinyl. I think it's ugly.
Yeah.
And it's gonna get grimy over time. So it takes away from the aesthetic of the shower. Same thing with the silicone. I know there's cases where you have the silicone, sometimes, but it does look better if you can get a nice clean line with your glass, not the silicone. But I've always wondered that. It's something that we used to say, you're going to put a sweep on every single shower, no matter what. But then we would get the customer that would call about the door sticking, over time, or if you had too much slope on the curb, it's going to grab too much. So I've tried to leave it up to my guys and say, listen, you know what you're doing. I'll let you make that decision. Sometimes they make the wrong one, and we have to deal with that. But I leave it up to those guys because they're doing it every day. I'm not there with my hands on that glass every day. So I try to give them, the trust that they know what they're doing.
Yeah, right. And if you, for me, what I started doing was just I started putting one on every one because it was easier. It takes less time to put a sweep on the bottom of the door than it does to have the conversation. It only takes 1 minute to put the sweep on. It takes 5 minutes to have the conversation. With the customer. Right? So it's like the sweeps are cheap. I've got them anyway. Just stick them on. But that's one of the real advantages of being able to talk to every customer and be able to communicate with them, and it kind of goes back to just like what we've been talking about this whole time, of just having that conversation with the customer. I mean, they don't see it the way that we do. When someone calls and says, hey, I've got a shower enclosure, can we reuse the glass? They ask that question all the time. It's like they see the glass is in good condition. Can we just reuse it? And some of it might be that they're just cheap, they're trying to save money. Some of it might be just like ecology, they don't want to see their glass go in the landfill. They want to be green or whatever, which that's cool, But what they don't get is that, they don't see it the way we do and realize, well, really the actual glass itself is like the cheapest part of the whole thing. I mean, the hardware, the aluminum, the labor, that's where all the money is, So it's like we can spend the money if you really want to preserve the glass, and it's not about the money, we can do that. But you're going to end up with this kind of a used glass shower enclosure for the cost of a new one. And no one's ever explained that to them, So giving people those options and letting them know that, hey, you do have some choices here, and just even like the water leakage, seepage, escape, whatever, with a frameless enclosure. I mean, just walking them through that process of like, hey, a little water might spill out of this. Is that going to be okay? Their knee-jerk reaction is, no, man, you can't have any water spill out. But if you just reason with them for a minute, I say, well, what'll happen if it does? Well, I guess I'll have to put down a mat. It's like, yeah, that's as bad as it actually really gets. I mean, if it's a tile bathroom, if you've got one of those like 70s, carpeted bathrooms, well, you've got bigger problems, right?
I still got one of those.
I rest my case.
Well, you have to watch out, okay? Because if somebody has that luxury vinyl tile, or they have hardwoods, okay, or just any kind of floating floor, engineered floating floor. If any water gets out and it's not caulked where the the threshold of the shower meets the floor and water seeps down in there, then it's under the floor panels. And that's happened to me a couple times. One time, I think one of my installers ran out of sweeps and didn't put it on. And it was a guest bathroom on hardwood floors, and they had a bunch of people using that shower over a holiday or something, and they kept flooding that hardwood floor. So, you know, luckily it all worked out, but in my contract, I have a contract with lots of fine print. And one of the things I say in there is that they're responsible for any damages due to water coming out on the outside of the shower. They need to contact me immediately to rectify the problem. We'll take care of it, but I'm not responsible for damages. They can't just let it go and, you know, then call me later after it's been destroyed. And that's really the point. But, you know, we're talking about this as kind of a segue to that. You know, that could cost a bunch of money if you have to replace a bunch of hardwoods.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I don't know about you, but there's been times when I told a customer, yeah, you don't want a frameless shower enclosure here. This is not the right application. I mean, if there's drywall within 1 inch of the door, or if there's like those MDF baseboards or something, I mean, it's just not gonna be a good situation. Or, you know, like maybe a linoleum floor or something like
You
that.
get somebody who has a 3x3 shower
Yes.
and they want a frameless. And I won't do that.
Tim, that's a great point. It's real tight inside, and it's going to flood every area of that shower door.
That's why they're called frameless. They're going to leak. I mean, not leak, but that's too small of a shower to do it. You know?
That's the fun conversation to have with the homeowner that's done their remodel and they got their beautiful new shower. You know, they've seen all these pictures on Pinterest and everywhere, and you send them a picture of a semi-frameless shower, and they're like, "That's not what I want." You know, and having that battle of, do I turn it down completely? Do I go ahead and do a frameless, make them sign? Which I hate. I hate making customers sign for things that I know are bad ideas. Just because it creates that discussion later. You know, so that, and teaching other salespeople, because I'm not the only one selling in my building, that, you know, you have to do that observation and check with them. I try to get my on-site guy. So we have a guy that goes out and measures to get the shower ordered. And I try to make sure he's kind of the last line of defense. If you go in there and you feel bad about it, or you see anything, you know, if it looks too small, or the projection of the head is too, you know, too heavy towards the door, or anything like that, you've got to be kind of the last guy. You got to be the safety that pulls the plug on it at the last. And if we lose the sale, we lose the sale. We'll give them the deposit back, and it is what it is. Because it's running through several people, and a lot of those, you know, early on in sales, they just want to sell a frameless because that's what the people want. We don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation, but that's a.
So if it is a small shower, I'll sell on the. C.R. Lawrence makes the one with what's it called, on a rail. The hinges on a hinge rail.
Yeah.
With a seal and a strike.
Yeah, it's I'm not familiar with C.R. Lawrence's product on that, but I know HMI does like a True Fit or something like that.
That's what you're talking about. Same.
Yeah, C.R. Lawrence makes it's a what do you call it, a strike jam with hinges on it with a seal.
Same thing from HMI.
And then you get a strike jam on the close it against.
That's you know, and a couple of weeks ago when we had one of these meetings and there was some silent time and everything, I thought, damn, you know, I know there's lots of things to bring up. So since then, I've been writing down all these topics, all right, of all these things I need to bring up. Well, one of the things is fiberglass shower stalls. What do you guys do? Okay, you know, and I've kind of have some of my ideas, and maybe we could talk about this in another meeting or something, and maybe get a little more in depth. But Tim, just that's exactly a good solution. I've looked at those. I've never tried one.
They
I've
work
looked
great.
at them, but aren't they kind of pricey?
They could be, but they want to frame a shower door,
Yeah.
and you put them in. And the hinges they're offset 5 degrees to the inside, so when you close the door, it slams against the strike.
I like that. Yeah. Well, yesterday, Monday.
And you can buy them. They're 72 inches. You can buy them. And you can cut them off, to whatever height you want.
Is that the height, 72?
I think it's 72. So if you have a 68-inch door, you even off what you cut off, top and bottom. They work great.
And
Yeah, I've heard good things
like
about those. I've never tried it before either, actually, but I've heard good things about them.
Yeah.
Do you guys have Alumax? Is that a brand you guys have out west?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it too, but I don't see them around here much.
All right. Yeah, they used to, back in 80s and 90s in the Atlanta area, they had 90% of the market on frame showers. So they were a big dominant player, but I'm a dealer for their products. And, so I do use a lot of their stuff still, but I don't do a lot of framed like Neos or right angle showers or anything like that. Monday, though, we put one in that was just a black frame shower with frosted glass, and we used a square handle on it. It was a fiberglass stall. Okay, so that was the solution. God, it looked great. It just was beautiful. I'm going to put a picture of it on the website. I was really impressed because that frosted glass with the black finish looks current.
I'll bet.
And it also hides the ugly fiberglass stall. So,
yeah, that is a good topic for a meeting. And if you've got a list of ideas like that,
I do.
Instant message them to me. I'd love to see that list.
All right, I can do that. So in fact, right before this meeting, I went out to my truck looking for my ring binder. I guess I left it at work, so I don't have it on me right now. But yeah, the fiberglass thing is a deal we got to contend with. So
I had some lady wanted a door and a fiberglass shower, and she wanted me to do something. I says, well, that fiberglass isn't going to hold that door. And I knew the lady for years, and she got all bent out of shape at me, and so I didn't do the work.
Well, what I've been doing is a deluxe header kit that goes just over the top of the walls of the shower door. Hopefully, I'm going to be drilling into the flanges behind the sheetrock, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So when we set the screws, we're at least in that flange. And I've got a couple other tricks I've come up with. But we can do a pivot door on these things. And people have been real happy with the fact that we'll do it and everybody else turns it down. And we are making money doing it. So
yeah, back in the day, the shower door, the fiberglass stalls were never, they were short, and all the shower doors we did were taller.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a smart idea. I'm seeing what you're saying about that, Brad, using a header, setting it on top of the surround,
Mm-hmm.
and then using pivots. That's a good idea.
It works. And I found it like Lowe's and Home Depot. They got these little round, they're used for door stops, like when the knob hits your sheetrock.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're real thin. It's kind of a hard plastic. It has double stick 3M tape on it. I have found that if you want to go higher, and there's no wood back there. Okay, so you can use that on the wall, and then bridge your deluxe header, then drill into that. That gives you some strength. And then once the silicone cures, if it's a door and panel, the silicone on that panel will fixate the whole thing and hold it in place. And I probably have done well over 100 without problems.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, well, even if you're not hitting anything back there, using a header system like that, there's very little shear. I mean, all of the weight is on the bottom of the door. So
right.
I'd feel really comfortable doing that in just about any situation.
The issue is that as the door swings back and forth, that over time, I'm worried that that's going to work that anchor. So if you could get a better quality anchor, but you're coming in at an angle with that,
Right.
with that screw and everything. Some of the anchoring systems I think are great, except they're designed to go straight. So I'm not sure if I can take those anchoring systems at an angle, or can I just modify a bracket to go straight? Like the old brackets, I don't know how long you guys have been doing this, but it used to be they didn't have those setting blocks in the top that you run your screw through. It used to be like a little
Like
L.
an L angle,
L thing.
basically.
Yeah.
They still have those.
Yep. So we could do that, but I would have to train my guys on that. They would like balk at it because it looks cheap compared to what they're accustomed to. And,
No, I think that's a good solution, actually.
mhm.
Now, I have a quick question. Talking about the fiberglass units, you know how a lot of them have that radius at the base where the base meets the verticals? Does that pose a problem? I mean, you can't get too tight with that, right?
It can be an issue, but generally our fabricator will round the corners if we put that on the deal.
Okay.
They've had problems with personnel during COVID. So, not everything comes in the way it's supposed to come in. So one of my installers came back and said, yeah, he had a little problem with it, but he just had to use a thicker setting block on the bottom, and raise everything up. But it worked out fine. He said it all looked good. Customer was really happy. So
how do you install bottom pivot hinge in that fiberglass so the hole doesn't weep out?
Haven't had a problem with that.
Just plug it and go.
No, you just drill into the fiberglass.
Yeah, you just screw down into the fiberglass.
Okay.
I know Bill Dobman talks about that. They'll put a little silicone under it too, which that makes sense. Put a little silicone and screw it down, and then that'll keep it from.
Yeah, when he said that though, I was sitting there thinking, yeah, I've done that too, but then it gets real slippery.
It does. Silicone is a good lubricant, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So, you got to be careful with that. But some of the fiberglass, I imagine the curb has a wood thing in there when they form the whole thing together.
Yeah.
There is a little wood in certain places on those fiberglass stalls. I'm not sure if it's on the curb or not. I can't comment on that. Of course, there's a lot of manufacturers. You never know what one does and another one doesn't.
Exactly. Well, hey, that's some good stuff, guys. Thanks for pitching in, man.
Yep.
Well,
it's been good.
Well, yeah. So be sure to send me a list of your topics, and we'll see. See about making those the topics of our discussions going forward, and the rest of you guys too. I mean, if there's something that we're not covering here, always feel free. You can post it in the group. You can send me an instant message, whatever. Send me an email. I'm really interested in that. And good talk, guys.
All right. Well, very good.
We'll see you next Wednesday.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks, guys.
Keep up the good work.